the technology head or various roles we talked about. Yeah, you had a question there. Yeah, yeah.
whatever they are trying to do, or
As you, as a founder, you're seeking a co-founder. Should you find someone with experience in that particular space?
no, no.
Yeah,
My
can,
question is, suppose two people come to you.
yeah,
They want to do something in healthcare,
yeah,
but they don't have any experience, previous experience in healthcare.
yeah.
So is that mandatory or?
Good question. So there are areas, the space you have picked is a good example, healthcare. Let's say you're trying to build the next cancer diagnostic device. We have a company called Mitra Biotech, which does, which predicts with high accuracy whether a particular drug will work for someone's cancer, right? So it's a very specific solution for cancer. So that was, the co-founders were both postdocs from MIT, Harvard, who had done years of research there, right? And founded that company, and we kind of we seeded them in an early stage. So if someone from, let's say, no healthcare background, no technology background in healthcare, had come and pitched the same idea to us, it would have been a lot harder investment decision to make. I'm not saying we wouldn't do that. So there are specific areas where a lot of know-how expertise is needed in that specific area, and that is what helps. Like they had done 6 7 years of research in cancer before starting this. So those specific areas, particularly in healthcare, or even in some of the enterprise software, we'll talk about Girish shortly and Freshdesk, right? He had experience building a product in in the enterprise software space. So there are spaces where experience helps, and there are spaces like consumer where being young and wanting to change the world works, right? So it depends, and it doesn't mean that a very experienced person won't be able to do a consumer company, or vice versa. A very young entrepreneur cannot do a healthcare company. The one thing I know about investing is there's no set rules. There's always, like, if it's a very set pattern, then it's anyone, like a computer can do it. It's not like that. It's always about a gut call. Can this team do? So, but in broad strokes, if I were to paint, I would say there are IP-led, we'll talk about IP and patents and all that, but IP-led areas where experience and domain expertise really helps. Yeah? Maybe one more questions on team. Yeah.
Particular area of expertise they lack something,
Yeah.
do investors also add value in a way by networking them to right people and or putting people in their teams?
Sure. So as long as you meet that one, two co-founders, the question is, where can investors help with appending to the team? Absolutely. So we have in our Axel's team, for example, we have about 10 people whose job, these are all senior people, what we call as operating partners or venture development team, who go and work with our startups in helping across areas. It could be recruiting, which is what you're talking about, to help identify the right people, or it could be marketing, it could be technology, it could be finance, it could be different areas. So various investors do help with that. But having said that, your job as the founder is to find that core team. So before you find money or how you're going to run it, find that first. Who are the core people? Be able to, as a founder, the biggest thing is storytelling and convincing that is being a good storyteller and being able to sell yourself. If you saw all the entrepreneurs, they told you amazing stories, right? Hopefully you all sat in on most of this. So they're all very good storytellers. They can capture the audience and get people excited about their idea. First people you need to do that is your co-founders and your first few employees. So I would say that is a thing that I at least personally look for when I talk to a founder, as in how good are they in inspiring confidence in getting a team together. Because once you have the right team, money is a commodity, you'll get it, right? But getting the right people to come and passionately work with you is the more important thing to build something huge, right? So long answer, but it has more to it. Maybe we'll stop on team for now. We'll go and come back to team unless there's any other pressing question on team.
Yeah, yeah. Just one very quickly.
Yeah.
Between the
Yeah.
co-founders, is it just an informal understanding between them, or there is something formal to be established between them?
Initially.
Yeah.
Sure, we are going ahead here on the legal side, but we'll touch upon it right now. I would say that once you're clear, you're doing a company, in idea stage, you'll always be ideating. There could be like 10 ideas, 50 ideas you go through. And you might not end up starting a company with that idea. In that phase, it's okay, just get together, ideate and all that. But once you're clear, this is the company I'm building, right? So, and I want to start spending time, real time on that. So at that phase, it will be a good idea, at least, even before you register your company, to broadly at least have an understanding of, is we are the co-founders, this is the equity, and this is how we are splitting the equity among the co-founders, and it need not be all equal, right? So what is the ratio of the equity, who's going to be CEO, have a lot of detailed discussions around it. Don't do it too early when you don't know if that same person you're going to co-found with, but when you're actually doing it, I think it's very important to do that. And then maybe even to formalize it, what's the vesting schedule? If, let's say, after 1 year, one of the co-founders is going to leave, you don't want them going away with 30% of the company. So it'll vest over 3-4 years. When you do go in for an investment, that happens. Vesting is, the shares is yours, but it'll come to you over time, right? So it's a good practice even as founders when you do this, to do that, say that we'll split it in this ratio and we'll get it back over 4 years, right? Yearly, monthly, whatever. Yeah, good question. Okay, so now the next thing is this most important thing. So um, second most important thing, or however you want to look at it, it's a toss up between team and market. So there are some investors who say that if it's the right team, they'll figure out the market, and there are some investors who say if it's the right market, the team will we can figure out the team. But I don't think there's any right one answer here. But the important thing is to pick a market idea that's, at least if you're trying to build something that is venture backable, VC funds and others will back, this is one of the most important things to think through. This is not important for, like I'm assuming most of the people here want to join a startup that's either scaling a lot, or you want to do a startup that scales a lot. This is not applicable if you want to build a startup that gets to, let's say, 5-10 million in revenue, profitable, and goes on like that. That's not necessarily, and majority of the businesses in the world fall in that category. And these are really profitable businesses, like millions of them that do anywhere from $1 to $10 million and profitable, and the founders are very happy, and it's scaling, right? Scaling at a more slower level. Those are not the businesses we are talking about. We are talking about businesses that were the entrepreneurs here in this who came and talked before built, right? So for all those businesses, market size is the most important thing. And sorry, market is the most important thing. Market comprises of a few different aspects. One is who are you selling to? So is it a consumer? Is it an enterprise, right? And like we talked about healthcare, is it finance? Which particular sector? And then how many of them? How big is the market, right? So it could be in terms of purely numbers. So if you look at the Facebook example going back, it was purely eyeballs. How many people will use it for a long period of time before actually it got converted into a dollar aspect because of the business model. Business models could could evolve over time. So there are businesses where it might be eyeballs driven also, and there are businesses which are dollar driven. So there are various different kinds of businesses. So it's tough to go into each and every aspect today. But we'll talk about two businesses at least that you have studied already, so that we can look at it from a market perspective. But it's important to understand the size of the opportunity in some shape, like it's either in number of people or dollars most broadly, and is it large enough? So that is one. And then is it scalable? So it could be a large opportunity, but it might not be scalable. It might require selling to 1 million people going door to door. If so, it's not a scalable business, right? Versus you might not make a lot of money per person, but it can scale to 100 million people very quickly because they'll discover and buy on their own. That's a scalable business model, right? If anything I'm saying does not make sense, stop me and ask me. I can give you more examples. Okay, so when you look at market, it's how big is the opportunity broadly, and is it a business model that can scale, and can it become large in a reasonably short period of time, which means 5 to 7 years from most venture investors' point of view. Can it achieve real good momentum? So that's something we look for very, very closely. So 90 98% of the businesses that doesn't